Absolutely. What's the best deal you've done?
So the best deal I've done is probably that no fix flip one I did to Open Door because really there's no work. I paid a kid $300 to go. I got him off TaskRabbit. He like cleaned the walls and then he mowed the lawn, and that was it. And then yeah, we sold it and yeah, we made 60 grand and yeah, we didn't really do anything. So it was pretty
That's
one
awesome.
mailer. We had one yeah, so it was super low and just yeah, it was just great. And it was my first big one too. So just I feel like I had a lot of emotional excitement and just felt good to be like, oh, okay, this shit works.
Welcome to the LandLife Podcast with your host, PJ Riley.
What's up, guys? My name is PJ Riley, and this is the Land Life Podcast. Guys, if you're getting value from this podcast, if you like the guests, make sure you leave comments. Follow us on iTunes, Spotify, all those kinds of places. Even if you don't like us, leave a comment anyway. Leave a comment that you don't like my hat, my background. You don't like anything. Just leave a comment. Guys, today we have a great guest, Kai Logue. Kai, what part of the country are you from?
So originally I'm from Boston, but I'm down
Okay.
in Texas now.
Okay. Wholesaling and flipping houses out of San Antonio, Texas. Is that right?
It is, yeah.
Right on, man. So Kai, kind of give us like a background of you, kind of where you got started and what brought us to the point we're at right now.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, so I grew up outside of Boston, a city called Lynn, and I moved around a lot as a kid. I went to like 10 or 12 different schools, kind of had a tough childhood, so definitely grew up broke and really had that scarcity mindset most of my life. And, I never really knew anyone that was successful, but, I always heard people talk about real estate. And the first wealthy person I ever met, he got his money in real estate. So I was always intrigued, always wanted to learn. And, I learned that guy barely passed high school, which I always struggled with school. So I'm like, oh, wow, that's
Yeah.
crazy. Because I always thought you had to go to college and, you had to have connections or, have rich parents or whatever to be successful. And, it kind of shifted my whole mindset. So I was always intrigued in real estate. Did a bunch of research, read a bunch of books, podcasts, and same thing. Had a lot of misconceptions about getting into real estate. I thought you had to have money, or I thought you had to have credit, or business partners, or know how to fix stuff, which I didn't have any of that. But I heard about wholesaling, and I learned there's so many creative things you can do using other people's money, and all these different creative strategies that are out there. I learned that was just a limiting belief. And, once I learned that, I dove right in and, it's been great, man. I really love real estate. And, I think it's the best vehicle for anyone to get into that wants to, break out of that scarcity mindset and start building wealth.
Yeah. So you came from kind of nothing.
Hmm.
You had a problem, and that's what all entrepreneurs do, right? You had a problem. You wanted to be successful too. You didn't have a lot of options. You were like, I don't have rich parents. No one's going to give me a bunch of cash. So I got to figure out how I'm going to do this. So you started just wholesaling. Now, are you doing this just in Texas, or were you doing it back when you were in Boston as well?
So I didn't really know about wholesaling until I came down here, but I moved down to Texas for real estate investing because I
Okay.
did a bunch of research. My God, it seems like the place to be. And
Yeah.
another big reason, everyone I knew around there wasn't doing anything good. Nobody was positive or success focused or business owners. And then Texas just has so much going on, so that was another main reason. And yeah, we just packed everything up in our cars. I packed up my dog, my cat. We rented an SUV. I sold everything else I owned, and we just
Damn.
drove all the way down here.
Wow. It's a lot warmer too.
Yeah, it's super hot, man. It's like 104 like all week. It's been really ridiculous.
Well, it's a little bit better. Like in the winter, you're going to be happy that you were in San Antonio versus
Yeah,
being in Boston in the winter.
yeah, for sure. Yeah, I'll take it over the winter for sure.
So you go down, you move all the way down from Boston to San Antonio. I mean, that's a huge move, right?
Hmm.
Where do you start? Like, what does day one look like as a wholesaler when you don't know anybody? You literally just moved across the entire country. What does day one look like? Where do we start? Like, because there's probably a lot of people listening to this that are like, dude, I want to wholesale too. I want to learn how to do it. Now, you not only learned how to do it, you learned how to do it in a completely different part of the country. So, what did that look like?
Yeah, so for me, I just kind of went back to what I knew. First, I watched some YouTube videos to kind of figure out where to start and find out how to get a list. And what I know is sales and cold calling and marketing, because I've been doing sales since I was 18. I sold cars, pretty much anything, different call centers. So pretty much I've always done sales, so I went back to what I knew, and I just picked up the phone and started dialing, and kept dialing, and I got beat up pretty hard, because I was surprised because I've done so many different types of sales, but so the list I was calling, these people were like, hey, I'm getting called 7 or 8 times a day, like, screw you, go die, I hope your family gets cancer. I'm like, whoa, this is all right. But I liked the challenge and just kept plugging away until I locked it up, and it got easier and easier as I got more comfortable, and I was able to start doing different types of marketing after that.
So you were doing all cold calling at first. Okay. So were you getting lists like online, or how are you getting those?
Yeah, so I used PropStream at the time.
Okay.
Just used well, I think somebody on YouTube said to get high equity, and I forget what it was, absentee owners, just all like the basic ones you hear.
Yeah.
They just had them. I pulled them and started calling them.
Cool. And so now, are you still just doing cold calling, or is there what are the other options that you're doing
So
now?
pretty much what I'm doing now. So I set it up. I have like a CRM I made myself in Go High Level, and so I set up a campaign where I pull a list, I put it in there, and then it'll text everybody. Then 5 minutes later, it does a voicemail drop. Then it
Okay.
repeats every day, and if they respond, then I'm giving them a call and hopping on the phone. So that way it's a bit more of a warm intro, and I'm not getting as many no's, and I'm talking to people who actually have some interest.
Sure. Sure. Any mailing or anything like that?
So I've done mailers, hit or miss. I think I wasn't very consistent with it. I did the first big deal I did 60K off it. I sold it to
Holy
Open
cow.
Door. And that was like my second deal. I wholesaled one, barely made $1,000, and then the second deal I did, that was off a mailer, and that one, we made 60 grand, and so they definitely work. But the second one I didn't get as much results, but I definitely need to get back to it and do more mailers, and I think just be more targeted and hit the same people again and again, as opposed to just scattershot and trying to hit everybody once.
So zero experience, moved to a different state, first deal 60 grand.
First one I made like 1K, but then like that a week later,
Okay.
it was 60 grand.
Okay. That's not bad. That's not bad at all. That's
Yeah,
a
right.
pretty good return. So guys, everyone go wholesale.
Right.
You're gonna make 60 grand on your first 1,000 on your first deal, 60 grand on your next deal, right?
Well, that one I technically didn't wholesale. So what I did was I bought it, and I call it the no fix flip. So I bought it. I closed on it with a partner, but I had all the same limiting beliefs again. I'm like, oh, hey, I found this deal. I know it's a great deal. It's a home run. I did the math 10 different ways, and I just wish I could close on it and flip on it myself, because it was basically a wholesale. It didn't need any work.
Yeah.
It was just ready to go. They just bought it off the MLS 3 months ago, and then they had a life change, wanted to sell, and I sent a mailer by accident, because normally those wouldn't tick the
Wow.
boxes that they might likely be a seller. But yeah, same thing. I wish I could close on it, and then I changed the question I was asking myself to how could I do this? And I ended up finding a partner. Somebody actually knew back up in New England, up in New Hampshire. So he partnered with me, helped fund the deal. We used hard money. We used his private money to be able to close on it. And then we just turned around and sold that to Open Door. And then, we made the 60K by selling it to them.
No
and then
kidding.
It was like 30 days from like when I bought it and sold it to them. And everyone's like, oh, I don't think that's going to work. But it worked out great. And I was ecstatic.
So Open Door, is that who you sell your houses to most of the time, or
So
private
they've cooled
buyers?
off. So with the market shift, they've cooled off. Before they were paying over, because what they were doing is they were buying in neighborhoods. They were artificially increasing the comps, because they'd buy all the houses in a neighborhood, and they'd pay a little more, but they'd raise them up so high that all the comps were super high in that neighborhood. So they'd make way more in the back end. But I think they did a shift with the market changing, and they're kind of lowballing people now. So. And they also
Yeah.
change it so you have to hold it for 60 days now. So I will sell to them if it's like a certain one, but it's not like my first go-to option anymore like it was before.
Sure. So I guess you're acquiring these deeds through, or these houses through phone calls, mailers, and then you're selling to either Open Door, or who else would buy a house from you?
So really, my wife's a realtor, so we have a flip we're doing now. We're going to list on the MLS. But yeah, so the Open Door, OfferPad's another big one. They're like another iBuyer company that's big out here in Texas. So I will hit them up. I always get offers from them because it's just faster and easier, and then I don't have to wait as long or hold on to the property and pay on the hard money loan. But also, just other investors. So if I'm going to wholesale the deal, if it's not one I take down personally, I'll just sell it to another investor, and then wholesaling, people don't know. It's just you're the middleman. You find the property, and you hook up the buyer with the investor, and then you pocket whatever you're able to negotiate in the middle of that.
Okay. All right. So Kai, how many deals have you done since how long have you lived in Texas, first of all?
So I think almost. So when I first moved here, I moved to Austin. So I was in Austin for about a year, And
Okay.
so I'm like, oh, that's the place I want to be. But I rented for a year and we didn't buy anything. So we kind of were like, oh, we'll feel it out. And that year, after the year, everything like tripled and quadrupled in price up in
Yeah.
Austin. And I'm like, I'm going to go to San Antonio. It makes a lot more sense there to build my own portfolio. But I've been here officially like a year now exactly. And then as soon as I moved to San Antonio is when I started doing the real estate thing full time and just jumped right in.
Okay. And
So
how many
it's been
deals have
like
we
a year.
done since you moved to San Antonio?
So I think we're at like 7 or 8 now, and I have a few
Okay.
more under contract. I'm trying to find buyers, so hopefully it should be close to like 10 or 11 with the ones I have now.
No. Okay. And they're all deals in San Antonio.
So mostly they have been, but the last two I got, I've been doing more virtually, just closing people over the phone instead of going to drive to look at the properties every time. So I found myself wasting a lot of time doing that. But I got one in Houston now, and I also have one up in Canyon Lake, which is like in between Austin and San Antonio.
Okay. Do you go to these every single property and look at them?
No, no, I'm just closing them over the phone now. I
How are
was,
you
but
able to do that if you're like, how are you able to determine if the house has something wrong with it that needs to be fixed?
yeah,
You
so we'll
know?
send someone out there after. So I'm getting under contract first, so like before I do all that,
Hmm.
because first I was going to look at it, I'm like, hey, it's completely off and just a huge waste of time. So I'll get it under contract based on what they tell me, and then have them do the seller's disclosure. And if I find out something's different or they lied or misrepresented the product condition, then I'll renegotiate the price if I need to.
Yeah, I'll tell you, we looked at a house once in somewhere in Alabama, and we were going to buy a bunch of houses out there, a business partner and myself, and we had quite a few of them. So we sent guys to go look at these houses, right? And
Hmm.
one of my memory in particular, he went into the house and he looked up and he said, "It has no roof." I was like, "How can you tell that from the inside of the house?" And he's
Yeah.
taking pictures, and the roof had been completely blown off by like a tornado or something.
Wow.
And I mean, there was just this big open space
Hmm.
where the roof should have been. And of course, it rains out there. So the house was destroyed. On the outside, dude, it looked amazing. It
Yeah.
looked great. I mean, maybe a little bit of
Photo
paint
reveal.
here and there, but nothing crazy. You open that front door and it's a nightmare. It's a
Wow.
completely different world. Where else are you going to work? I mean, are you going to try to like, if you can expand this to Austin and to, other areas, you could probably go anywhere.
Yeah, we can go anywhere. I haven't closed anything up, but I had a few, and it's funny because talking about, not really, the sellers misrepresenting themselves. I had one in Georgia that I had a friend go look at, and it was, just completely buyer misled me, and like or the seller misled me rather. But then I found out that same day I had him go out there, and he had to drive out like an hour. They had like a realtor sign up, and like they like listed with the realtor, and like I just completely lied about the property, and it's like
Yeah.
wasn't what they said it was. So I'm like, oh, so I'm definitely doing a better job betting them now. But yeah, so we're doing Georgia now. I have my partners up in one of my partners is in New Hampshire, so we're doing that area, and I still know a bunch of people out there if I need to look at anything. And yeah, pretty much everywhere though. We're hitting right now. We're focusing just a lot of the major markets where there's a lot of other investors that we can wholesale to if needed.
Yeah. So in Georgia, how did you find the guy to go look at your property?
You just what I need from one of my mastermind groups, Apex.
Okay. Okay. So you just have a friend going from another group. They're willing to do that for you.
Yeah, well, he's a realtor, so we're going to partner on that. So I think,
Oh,
yeah,
smart.
just try to. I find I'm building like realtor relationships and different investor relationships in the markets first, just so it's easier to offload the properties and get
Yeah,
boots
that's
on the
huge.
ground.
So I think relationships are like a huge part of business. Like
Hmm.
they're going to make your life so much easier. Where else are you getting building relationships? How else are you doing it?
Yeah, so really just local networking groups. I mean, online social media is great. Just I try to post frequently and just in different Facebook groups and
Hmm.
always looking to network and meet with new people and see who's doing what. But yeah, I think Facebook groups are great. Any kind of like online groups, Bigger Pockets is a great resource too. And yeah, it's really any in-person things I can do too. I just try to go to as many like networking and mastermind events that I can.
In person? Are you going to like in person physical
Hmm.
mastermind groups?
Yep. Yeah, I
Okay.
went to Kent Clothier's this year. I think this year's been nuts. I think every month we've gone somewhere.
Okay.
It's been a bit overwhelming, but it's been great. I met so many cool people, made so many great connections, and just it's been awesome.
I know a lot of people say the prices on those things are pretty high. Would you say
Mhm.
though that it's worth it, even though there's high prices?
It depends because I've been doing the
Hmm.
whole networking thing for a long time. If you're going there with a specific goal and like if it's real estate, you're gonna meet other real estate people, great. Certain other ones I've been to when I first started out as an entrepreneur, they're just all, rah hype and like
Yeah.
trying to sell you stuff and pitch fest. And I felt like, I was burned out by the end of it and, didn't really get
Yeah.
any good takeaways. But as long as you're with the right people, the right groups, like, Arte, Ed, and Andy, those are people that provide, tremendous amount of value.
Yeah.
Anybody that's a giver, and you're going to either one, find value, get an answer to a problem you're trying to solve, or if you go in there to make connections. So I think they're super beneficial. They're definitely worth it as long as you go there with a goal in mind.
Yeah. So those are all the good things, build relationships, learn from other people. Have you ever had a coach?
So
Yes.
not formally, no. I've had
Okay.
mentors, but I haven't paid for coaching, like
Tons of YouTube
one-on-one.
videos though, right?
Yeah, lots of YouTube, and I bought a million courses, so I've not done them.
That's awesome,
Way
man.
too much
So what do
research.
people do wrong in wholesaling houses? Like what's the thing that your average guy is doing incorrectly?
Yeah, I think so. I think the same thing we talked about when you were on my show is just not taking action. There's people just still watch a video and then
Yeah.
watch another video and then go buy a book and go to course and then they'll go to some retreat or some mastermind, and they're doing all these things which are great, but if you never take action, it's all pointless. So
Yeah.
really, the people I see that just don't do anything, or they have all these hypothetical questions like, well, what if this happens? And I'm like, because people message me and DM me, so I try to help and get back, and someone DM me like this crazy hypothetical. I forget what it was. Like, what if they ask for this thing, or this paperwork? I'm like, I've never had anybody ask me for that, but if they ask you, then find it. I'm like, is
Yeah.
somebody asking you this? They're like, no, but just what if? I'm like, yeah, well, stop worrying about the what ifs and just get to work.
Let's keep the competition down though.
Mm-hmm.
The people that are afraid to take action are the ones that are going to keep your competition down because
Mm-hmm.
they don't want to take action. They're never going to do anything and they're never going to get there.
Right. Well, I think there's plenty. I think we live in a world of abundance, especially here in America. I mean,
Sure.
there's so many houses, so much opportunity. I think there's plenty for everyone. It's just you got to go after it, get out there and get it.
Absolutely. What's the best deal you've done?
So the best deal I've done is probably that no fix flip one I did to Open Door, because really it was no work. I paid a kid $300 to go. I got him off TaskRabbit. He like cleaned the walls and then he mowed the lawn, and that was it. And then we sold it, and we made 60 grand, and we didn't really do anything. So it was pretty
That's
one
awesome.
mailer. So it was super low, and just it was just great. And it was my first big one too. So just I feel like I had a lot of emotional excitement and just felt good to be like, oh, okay, this shit works.
That's awesome. So let's switch gears just a little bit. You have a podcast too.
Mm-hmm.
Is it One Day at a Time.
It is, yeah. ODAT, one day at a
I can
time.
see the sign right behind your head there.
Yeah.
So what made you want to do a podcast, and kind of where you at with that?
Yeah, so really the reason I started the podcast was one day at a time has been a big thing for me. It's kind of how I lived my life when I wasn't doing good. So I was a kid, I was homeless, like 16, pretty much on my own. Well, I was on my own, selling drugs, working at Wendy's, but really just scarcity mindset, stealing food to eat. Like every day was like a struggle, and I was just done. I was at the end of my rope, and I tried to kill myself. And the gun jammed, luckily, and then I made one last call to my grandmother, and then she didn't know what was going on, but I just told her, hey, I'm really stressed and I just don't see a way out. And I remember saying something to that effect, and she's like, yeah, well, all you can do is take things one day at a time. And
Wow.
that kind of, it stuck with me. I'm like, oh shit. And then I'm like, what if I just focus on today and just make it through today? I don't have to have it all figured out. So I started doing that, and then that changed my whole life, dramatically. I mean, definitely not overnight, but definitely over time, and doing the work every day and just focus on winning one day, really helped me make that shift. And so I went there. I used to be the most negative person in the world, like scarcity. Like I was there, like really just whatever I had to do to get to that next day. And it sucked. It was awful. So I never want to go back there. I don't want other people to be stuck there, because I know if I can get out of there, anybody can. So that was the main reason for the podcast. I want to bring people from all different walks of lives who've accomplished things, and aren't stuck where they started, or aren't stuck where something happened. And so I've had some great guests, and I had you on there, and just amazing guests that just shared their stories and what helped them. And I'm hoping there's someone out there for anyone that they can resonate with, because your story's not unique. As much as we all feel like we're unique, we're special, or we are, we are special, we are us, but our stories and what happens to us isn't. I mean, there's so many people out there. Somebody's been through what you've been through, and somebody's gotten out of it and gone to the other side and gotten out of it better.
Yeah, absolutely. I think, with a podcast like that, people need to hear those stories, and if they're in a position that you were in, I mean, maybe you didn't know anybody that's been like you, that's been able to get out of that position. So, podcasts, especially with a message like One Day at a Time, is really beneficial for a lot of people, whether you're working at McDonald's selling drugs, or you could also be a big time high roller guy that just, you're going through a lot in life right now.
Mm-hmm.
You can be any of those. It doesn't necessarily mean you're at the, the lowest financial part of your life. You
Exactly.
could be very wealthy and still not doing, still having struggles that you're going through.
Yeah, that was some of the best advice I got this year, because this year just been a lot of growth for me. But one of my mentors said, the roller coaster never stops. So no matter where you're at, you can be a high level of success. It's not going to stop. There's going to be ups and downs, and
Yeah.
there are going to be bigger up and downs when you're up playing at a higher level. But it's just knowing that doesn't stop, and it's never just going to be one day like, oh, I'm good, I can coast now.
Yeah.
So as long as you're alive, you're going to keep going through challenges. But that's how you're going to get better, and that's how that's what makes life fun.
Absolutely. So what drives Kai? What makes you tick?
Yeah, so really my main thing is, I just want to be the person. My now wife saw me when I was 18 and homeless and selling drugs. And, she knew me then, and she believed she was the first person in my life to ever believe in me. It made me want to do more. And like I had crazy dreams that, hey, I want to be rich. I want to be successful. I want to have it. We're going to have an island one day. I had it all pictured in my mind's eye. It was so clear, and I could see it, but everybody else used to just, laugh or just would never share that with people. So I didn't feel good or worthy or have any self-worth or confidence really at the time. I did. I mean, there's a lot of like fake confidence though. And like deep down,
Totally.
But yeah, she was the first to really believe me. I'm like, it's taking longer than I thought it would, but
I feel you there.
way different road than I thought it would. But that's my goal. I want to get there. I want true freedom. I want financial freedom. I want to build a legacy and just make a huge impact on as many people as I can, and really just be that person that she saw back then that I always knew was inside.
That's awesome. So your wife saw it in you at the very beginning.
Mm-hmm.
And stuck it out until now, where you're making $60,000 in a deal.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and then we work together. She helps me a lot and do other things, and yeah, it's really cool.
Yeah, I think a lot of people too, they overestimate what they can do in a year. I'm copying this. I'm taking this line from somebody else.
Yeah.
They overestimate what they can do in a year, and they underestimate what they can do over the course of like 5 years, 7 years. So a lot of people in that first year, if the success doesn't come, and if they're not hitting those goals and making those big deals like they hear Kai makes, they want to quit. They move on to the next thing and the next thing. It's like, now I'm going to go flip crypto, and now I'm going to do, sell watches or something, whatever the thing is that you're going to do. But if you stick with things and you're consistent about it, like you have been, the results will start to come. But it's really hard for people to see that when they're at the very beginning stages.
Mm-hmm. For sure. And one thing I've learned about that too was not to talk about it. I used to get really excited, and especially I wasn't in the right circles. So I'd like, hey, this is what I'm going to do, and I tell other people all the stuff I'm going to do, and they didn't have the same mindset, or they didn't want more, and they basically throw doubt and shade and little negative things there, and then eventually I wouldn't want to do it. But on the flip side, also when you do that and you share things, and people do listen, they are receptive. You're getting that emotional dopamine release. I don't know what the science is behind it, but you're getting that release like, hey, you've already achieved it. So really, just not talk about what you've done and accomplished, not like what you're doing, and just keep working on what you're doing and keep pushing, and just know it's gonna pay off. It's not a matter. I think I heard Andy Frisella say it, that it's gonna come. It's not an if. It's just when.
Yeah, absolutely. And when you tell people that your dreams and your goals, it's not their goal.
Mm-hmm.
It's not their goal. So they don't mean you can't do it. They mean they can't do it.
Exactly.
So they may be telling you, oh, you're never going to achieve that. That's way too hard. What they're really telling you is they can't achieve it themselves.
Mm-hmm.
They don't have the desire, the drive. They're not willing to accept the failures and go through the trials and tribulations of everything that this journey is going to require.
100%. No, I think that was a big shift for me. Like literally, I would change that word in my head when I heard him say like, "Oh, you can't do that." I'm like, "Oh, I can't do that." And if you look at their state, like Tony Robbins talks about state and emotional states, and growing up, I've abused a lot too, so I can read kind of like people's energy and stuff. So it's like I can see that when people say stuff like that, they're down, they're depressed, they're not like saying that like they're better than you. Like that's literally what they're saying is they can't do that. They can picture doing that, or they can even try to do that, so it makes them feel bad.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. So what's the long-term plan here with your business? Are you going to move into something else? Are you going to stick to this long-term? What does it look like?
Yeah, so this is it. Yeah, for me, so I really just want to grow it, be in pretty much every major market, build teams, and have other people helping me. So it's not just me doing everything. But yeah, I think really for me, real estate's it, and then I think my key to real estate, at least my idea, is that if I can fund the deal, if I can find the deals and find the best deals, it's going to make every other part of real estate easier.
Yeah, I know a lot of people say though that they don't have the money to do it. Like, I don't have the money to do real estate. I can't get in. How are you able to overcome that the money problem?
Yeah, I had that same excuse. I didn't have the money. I didn't have the experience. I didn't have the time. I didn't have all the stuff, But really, it's just taking action, and just figuring it out when I get there. Again, that one day at a time thing is not figuring out every step of the way. Just knowing what's the first step. Okay, first step, I got to find somebody who wants to sell. All right, so I'm going to find someone who wants to sell. And I'm not going to worry about all the other stuff, because if I do, I'm going to get overwhelmed and I'm not going to do anything. So if I worry about just that first step and then the next step, and then somehow I'm at the end.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Just get out there and do it. Yeah. Take Kai's advice here, guys. No matter what the endeavor, if you're like, no matter what you want to do, whatever the business is, just start today. You're going to figure out how to take step one. And when you get to step one, figure out, you'll learn step two at that point. If you get a house under contract, you've found a seller, you're going to find somebody who wants to buy that house. And the amount of return is case by case scenario, but you're going to find somebody who wants to buy that house. So in his case, he just took the first step, figured it out when he got there, and then took this next step, figured it out when he got there, took the next step, and kind of progressed from there. So Kai, where can people get a hold of you if they wanted to contact you for anything?
Yes, if you just go to kylogue.com, so KYLOGUE.com, you have all my social media handles there, links to the podcast, my site, my free training. Just go there and you can find out everything you need to know. Yeah,
and Kai's all over social media. I see your videos all the time. So, guys, if you want to learn, you want to get free information, Kai's the guy to follow. He's got all kinds of cool stuff out there. So, anything else, Kai, you want to say before we wrap up?
Yeah, man. Yeah, just get out there and do it. Take action. If you get one thing out of this podcast, take some action, and whatever it is you're trying to do, just start today. Absolutely, start today. No more days off. Too many days off. All right, Kai. Kai, here's the big question I ask everybody at the end of the podcast. Okay, we are LandLife. Where am I at here? LandLife. There you go. I buy and sell dirt. Buy and sell vacant land all over the country. If you could buy a land anywhere in the country, actually anywhere in the world, where would it be and why? Yeah, so for me, it's Crete. It's the biggest island in Greece. And yeah, like I said, back to that island thing. I've never been there. I haven't been there. I read a book about it and looked at pictures, and sounds sweet. So, and the prices are crazy. So yeah, I think I could build something pretty cool there and live that island of Crete. And where exactly is that at? So it's the bottom of Greece. It's like the largest island in Greece, right at the bottom. And yeah, it's got a lot of cool hikes and trails, and a lot of the old they got supposedly Zeus was born in a cave there, some cool stuff, and yeah, it's a cool place. I know Greece was going through a lot of financial instability, so yeah, you can get a villa might be your time. A mansion villa, a couple $100K, and yeah, let's do it. Wild, yeah, dude, a couple $100K. That's where the new home base is. You can do your business from virtually anyway. Yeah, right. So Crete is a mansion on, let's say, 100 acres on the island of Crete. Yeah, that'd be ideal. Sounds good. All right, Kai, anything else before we wrap up? No, man. Yeah, just thank you for doing this podcast, man. It's great, man. Just love what you're putting out there in the universe. And yeah, I think everyone should go ahead and like and subscribe, and make sure you follow me. You've got some awesome guests. Absolutely. Yeah, guys. Follow the ODAT One Day at a Time podcast as well. Guy, thanks so much. And guys, till next time on LandLife. All right, thanks, brother.